Hello everybody, welcome to this very first screencast of the 9 Honors Dinim class. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to see an example of how a Siman in Shulchan Aruch is based on the Talmud. We're going to look at a page of the Talmud, a few lines in a Mishnah, then we're going to look at a page of the Shulchan Aruch, at a specific Siman and a specific Seif. We'll see how what the Mechaber says in the Shulchan Aruch is based on what preceded it in the Talmud. As we're doing that, we're going to learn the phrase in the pasuk that teaches the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema. Obviously, a very important phrase. We're going to discuss a machloket Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel in halachot that are learned from a pasuk. We're going to then look at the Shulchan Aruch and see what he has to say about that machloket and what he says about the appropriate positions of Kriyat Shema that Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel were arguing about. And then we'll see a little bit of an explanation in the Mishnah Berurah. What we have here is the pasuk Dvarim Perek Vav pasuk Zayin V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtcha v'veitecha v'lechtcha v'derech v'shachcha v'kumecha. Any discussion about Shema starts with this pasuk. The two words v'dibarta bam, that phrase is understood by the Talmud to be referring to the commandment in the Torah, the mitzvah d'oraita, the Torah law of reciting Shema. The Mishnah we're about to see discusses the phrase of V'shachcha v'kumecha, what that teaches us, and when we deal with Beit Hillel, we'll discuss what the phrase of V'lechtcha v'derech teaches us. What we have here is a page from the Gemara, a page from the Talmud Bavli. This is from the section of the Gemara Brachot, Masechet Brachot. If you look at the arrow, Brachot, it's from the first Perek Rishon. The prakim in the Gemara are named by the first word of the first phrase in the Perek. The first phrase starts with the word me'imatai, so it's also referred to as Perek me'imatai. This is what's known as Daf Yud Amud Bet. It's Daf Yud, and every Daf in the Gemara has two sides. Amud Aleph, the first side. Amud Bet, the second side. This is Daf Yud Amud Bet. Here, you take a closer look. And we're going to go down to the bottom of this Amud. The Mishnah here starts off with the opinion of Beit Shammai. Beit Shammai Omrim. That's good. Beit Shammai Omrim, Ba'erev kol adam yatev yikra, uvavoker yamod, shenemar uvishach b'chav kumecha. Beit Shammai Omrim, Beit Shammai says, Ba'erev, in the evening, when you're reciting the evening Shema, Kol Adam, everybody, Yatev Yikra. Everybody should lie down. We'll learn later that it means lying down on your side. Everyone should be lying down, V'yikra, and recite Kriyat Shema in the position of lying down. Uvavoker, and in the morning, when they recite the morning Kriyat Shema, Ya'amod, they should be standing up. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Uvashach b'chav kumecha. The pasuk that we saw before, Dvarim Perek Vav, pasuk Zayin, when it talks about the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema, v'dibarta bam, the commandment to say Kriyat Shema, it says, b'shach b'cha uv'kumecha, b'shach b'cha uv'kumecha. And Beit Shammai is saying that phrase of b'shach b'cha uv'kumecha is teaching you these two halachot. In the evening Kriyat Shema, you should be lying down when you recite it, and in the morning Kriyat Shema, you should be standing up when you recite it. Beit Shammai is learning this from the phrase of b'shach b'cha uv'kumecha, and it's very interesting, because this phrase, according to Beit Shammai, is teaching you when to say Kriyat Shema, when to do this mitzvah v'dibarta bam, b'shach b'cha. In the evening, when you go, the time that you go to sleep, uv'kumecha, when you get up, the time that you get up, and it is also teaching you how to do the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema. That in the evening Kriyat Shema, it should be b'shach b'cha. It should be when you are laying down. And the morning Kriyat Shema, it should be uvikumecha, not just the time, it's not just telling us when to do the mitzvah, but it's also telling us how to do the mitzvah, uvikumecha. The morning Kriyat Shema should be done standing up. On the same daf, and the same amud, right after Beit Shammai, you have the opinion of Beit Hillel. Take a look at the arrow After Beit Shammai, the Mishnah brings Beit Hillel. Beit Hillel omrim. Beit Hillel say, Kol adam korei kedarko. Anybody could read according to their way, meaning that they could read the Kriyat Shema, whether it's the morning Kriyat Shema, whether it's the evening Kriyat Shema, they were able to read it in whatever position they want. Kedarko, in their way. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, uvelachtecha v'derech, as you're going on the derech, on the road. Im kain, lama ne'amar, uveshachcha v'kumecha. If so, why does the pasuk have the phrase uveshachcha v'kumecha as you're lying down, as you're getting up? Beit Hillel said it doesn't matter what position you are. You could be reading it in whatever position. Why does the pasuk say, as you are lying down, as you are getting up? Bisha'a shebnei adam shokvim uvesha'a shebnei adam omdim. The phrase uveshachcha v'kumecha is teaching you to say Shema at the time that people go to sleep, at the time that people get up. So you have here Beit Hillel arguing with Beit Shammai. Beit Hillel is teaching you it doesn't matter what position you say Shema. You could say it in whatever position, standing, sitting, whatever, as we'll see in the Shulchan Aruch, how he presents in his language this idea. And to understand how Beit Hillel is arguing, or his point against Beit Shammai, you have to contrast them. Beit Shammai said in the evening it must be that you are lying down. In the morning it must be that you are standing up. Comes along Beit Hillel and says, wait a second, pay attention to the phrase uvelechtecha vaderech. Uvelechtecha vaderech. When you're walking on the road. That is unlike the two required positions of Beit Shammai. Walking is not lying down, which is the way you're supposed to be doing it in the evening according to Beit Shammai. And walking is not standing the way you're supposed to do it in the morning, according to Beit Shammai. So says Beit Hillel, look at the phrase of V'lechtecha v'derech, and that seems to contradict, that seems to go against Beit Shammai's opinion. And therefore, Beit Hillel says that the only thing learned from Uveshachcha Uvkumecha is not how to say Shema. You could say it however you want. But Beit Hillel learns from this pasuk when that you need to say Shema in the morning and the evening. Uveshachcha in the evening, the time you go to sleep. Uvekumecha, the time you get up in the morning. So it's an interesting machloket. Beit Shammai says this pasuk is telling me both when to say Shema and how to say Shema. And Beit Hillel is saying that no, it is only telling you when to say Shema. Has the machloket Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. We could look at the Shulchan Aruch and we could better understand and appreciate the words of the Mechaber. For some reason, the PDF here did not allow for underlines, so what I'm going to ask you to do is follow the black arrow. The black arrow is right next to the top, the heading Hilchot Kriyat Shema. This is from a volume of the Mishnah Brura, and just to review a little, there are 4 sections of the Shulchan Aruch. The first section is Orach Chaim. Orach Chaim deals with laws of a daily, weekly, and yearly routine, and therefore it has the section of Hilchot Kriyat Shema. Within Orach Chaim, Hilchot Kriyat Shema, on this page we have Siman, the end of Siman Samach Bet. Samach Bet would be 62. The beginning of Siman Samach Gimel. Siman Samach Gimel Leishev B'Shat Kriyat Shema V'Lo Yishan. That's the Siman. It has Tet Seifim. It has 9 Seifim. If you remember, a Siman is like a chapter. A Seif is a section. It's a sentence or two giving us a halacha or two, and sometimes some information about that specific halacha. So let's take a look at Seif Aleph. Just follow the arrow. Seif Aleph, Korei Ota, one reads Kriyat Shema. And again, we're talking now about Kriyat Shema, whether it's Kriyat Shema Shal Arvit or Kriyat Shema Shal Shacharit, whether it's the evening Kriyat Shema or the morning Kriyat Shema. Korei Ota, one reads it, Mahalech, walking, O Omeid, or standing, O Shochev, or lying down, O Rochev, or O Rochev Al Gabe Behima, or riding on a animal, to give it a modern application, riding on an animal or riding on a car, a bus, an airplane, any means of transportation as you're riding, O Yoshev, or sitting. Aval lo prakdan. But one cannot read it as prakdan. Before we get into what prakdan means, you'll notice here, from reading this first line of the Shulchan Aruch, that the Shulchan Aruch follows the opinion of Beit Hillel, that there is no restrictions of the position of Kriyat Shema. According to Beit Hillel, uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha does not teach you that the evening Kriyat Shema must be recited lying down. The morning Kriyat Shema must be recited standing up. One can recite Kriyat Shema any time of the day, whether in the morning or the evening, in any position. The examples that the Mechaber gives are, he could say it, or she could say it, walking, or standing, or lying down, or riding an animal, or sitting. Now let's get to this funny term prakdan, which the Shulchan Aruch defines for us. Prakdan, dahainu, which is shapanav tuchot bekarka. Basically, you're lying down on your stomach. The way he explains it is you're lying down and your face is in the ground, is on the ground, smushing the ground, so to speak. Panav tuchot bakarka. O mushlach al gabo fanav lamala. Or the Mishnah Berurah says that besides how you may not read when you're lying on your back, when you're lying on your stomach, panav tuchot bakarka, you can't read the Kriyat Shema when you're facing the ground. You also can't read the Kriyat Shema when you're lying and you're sprawled on your back and your face is facing up. So you can, he said, say Kriyat Shema when you are shochev, when you're lying down, but then he proceeds to say that you cannot read Shema when you're lying on your stomach and when you're lying on your back, which leaves the only possibility of saying Kriyat Shema when you are shochev is to say it aval korei v'hu shochev al tzido. One can say Kriyat Shema when they are lying on their side. So the positions that are not allowed are simply the two positions of lying on your stomach and lying on your back. The Mechaber, Rabbi Yosef Karo, does not explain this. But if you take a look, and then again, follow the arrow. So up till now this year, we haven't focused a lot on finding the commentary of the Mishnah Berurah. But if you take a look at the arrow, you see next to the word prakdan is a little bet. And if you go down to the Mishnah Berurah, you see the little bet, prakdan. We're not going to read the whole thing. But if you read the second half of his phrase here, he explains what's the problem with lying flat on your back, what's the problem with lying flat on your stomach. We learned that according to Beit Hillel, you could read in whatever position, and the Mechaber seems to be paskening like Beit Hillel. However, the problem with lying flat on your back or lying flat on your stomach, says the Mishnah Berurah, is b'pnei shenireh kemekabel alav ol malchut shamayim derech srara v'gava. It looks like, it appears like you're doing the mitzvah of Kabbalat Ol Malchut Shamayim. We will discuss at a later date this term, Kabbalat Ol Malchut Shamayim. That's a term that's a way of referring to the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema. So if you're lying on your back and on your stomach, it appears as if you're doing the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema derech srara v'gava, in a controlling and arrogant way. If you're lying on flat on your stomach or flat on your back, it looks a little bit too chilled out. When you're saying Kriyat Shema, you're supposed to be recognizing Hashem as the master of the world. If you say it when you're just like sprawled, just like, totally, as I said, chilled out, it looks a little too arrogant. It looks like you're really a little bit full of yourself and you're not ready to recognize Hashem as the king of the world. It looks like you're more interested in the Srara. You're more interested in ruling over your life and not allowing Hashem and not seeing Hashem as the ruler in your life. So it's just a little bit funny as you're recognizing Hashem to be in this position. It looks arrogant. It looks like you want to be in control of yourself. Therefore, the Mechaber says don't do it, as explained, as given the reason in the Mishnah Berurah.